More time. Come on in the room. Come on in the room. The Indiana Pacers beat the Milwaukee Bucks tonight, 142-130. Rough night. Come on in the room. Had some audio issues. Let me know if this sounds a little better. If we fix these technical difficulties, I think I did. So I give myself some credit for some troubleshooting, honestly. But come on in the room. Bucks lose at 142-130. The Indiana Pacers beat the Milwaukee Bucks tonight. Again, it was just a rough night. Come on in the room. Adrian is our doctor. He writes out all of our scriptures. He gives us all of our medicine in our room. So let's get into it. Tonight's not gonna be a night, right, where I do a lot of doom and gloom, where I cry. I think a lot of people are crying right now based upon just kind of what they see from the Bucks and where things are for the Bucks. I'm not gonna do that. I just can't do it. It's not in my DNA, not in my blood, to sit here and feel like that the entire season is over. To me, it's not. It's just not. Bucks do lose. They've lost 4 out of 5 to the Indiana Pacers. But it's not doom and gloom. The season's not over. What happens before? You're not going to convince me that what's happened before the All-Star break is somehow indicative of what's going to happen to the Milwaukee Bucks throughout the year. Right throughout the year, I'm waiting on people to tell me if the audio's good, and nobody's telling me. So I know I'm sitting here waiting. Okay, so I got the okay. You're back in business. Perfect. We are live. It's the Cream City crossover. That makes me feel good. I feel good. I'm like triple double, no assists. I don't have a producer here. No John Tyus. No Chris King. They're all on vacation. They all chilling out. And I'm right here having to do my thing, so I had to get the audio fixed. I'm not super technical, but we got in there, got in the nitty gritty. I had to tighten some nuts, tighten some bolts, and unlike the Milwaukee Bucks, I performed and got everything under control. So again, shaky for the Bucks, shaky for me, but I come through and I fix this thing and we'll get it right. So let's get this party started. Let's go through a game recap tonight. The Bucks lose 142-130 to the Indiana Pacers. Giannis Antetokounmpo, 26, 11, and 8. I was mentioning it before I couldn't get the audio and everything to work, that I thought Giannis played well tonight. I honestly did. 8 of 13 from the field. I thought he took what the defense gave him. The Indiana Pacers, listen, tip your hat to Rick Carlisle. Right? I tip my hat. I give those guys a lot of credit. They played like this was a playoff series. It's not. Right? It's January. It just started 2024. It's not a playoff series, but I'll give the Indiana Pacers tons of credit. They adjusted. They made all the moves they wanted to make, and it worked, right? They were able to slow Giannis down. He wasn't going to give up 64 points or whatever it was. So, credit to him, right? But I thought Giannis took what the defense gave him. I thought he played downhill. He facilitated the ball well. I thought he did all the little things, 1 or 2 from 3, so he shot the ball better than Damian Lillard as well. He did all the little things to me, like a superstar player would do, the one that's being double-teamed and triple-teamed and sees a wall every time out. Damian Lillard, 23 points tonight, 5 assists, just wasn't good enough. 6 to 18 from the field, 2 of 8 from 3. Again, I thought Damian Lillard, we talked about this, and I've had a lot of people who will come and tell me, oh my goodness, he's just standing, all the Damian Lillard fans, he's just standing in the corner. He's not doing anything. No, he has the ball. I watched specifically tonight for that. Now, were there stretches where he didn't have the ball as much? There were, and it was after it was very apparent and very clear that he was going to shoot 30% from the field tonight. He was another night where Damian Lillard was the worst shooting starter on the floor. And again, and the night where Malik Beasley didn't shoot the ball well either. 37%, 54%, 61%, 53%, and you got Damian Lillard at 33%, who, by the way, took the most shots of any player on the Milwaukee Bucks tonight. He was the worst shooter on the team and shot the most shots. So I'm tired. I don't want to hear that excuse anymore. And again, this is not a referendum on Dame, but I'm just tired of hearing the people tell me like that somehow Damian Lillard doesn't get the ball. No, he gets the ball. He shoots the ball. He's just missing. Like, it's okay to say that, hey, I need you to play a little better. And we'll get into that. We'll talk about that. 142, 130. You can at me at TCIIIESQ. Talk to us in the chat as well about this 142, 130 loss the Milwaukee Bucks suffered. I thought the Chris Middleton 1976. He played okay, but again, when you don't have that force from your 1 and 2 guys, from Giannis and Dame, when you don't have that 1-2 punch playing like a superstar connection of a 1-2 connection, Chris Middleton just kind of blends in. He had, again, another night with 4 turnovers. He had a couple hilariously bad ones in the fourth quarter where, he threw the ball out of bounds to Bobby Portis, and then the one where they threw the alley-oop over everybody's head because he starts dribbling like he's Jaylen Brown, and they just take the ball from him and run down the floor. So you can pencil Chris in for a couple turnovers every night, a couple really bad turnovers. Tonight was the opposite of what took place the other night where the Bucks lost to Indiana, where the starters at least played well. Tonight they didn't play all that well, and again, it's on the defensive side of the ball. Right, like that's a lot of the issues for the Bucks. Brook Lopez is 16 points, Pat Connaughton 3 points. He didn't do anything. Bobby Portis 9 and 6 didn't do anything. Campaign 7 points. I thought MarJon and Andre Jackson Jr. Also played well. And then you look on the other side for Indiana. Jalen Smith for 13 points, Miles Turner 15 and 7, Bruce Brown 15 and 5. But of course the star player, the highlight, the guru. Game ball tonight goes to 31 and 12. Tyrese Halliburton 31 and 12, and I believe he had no turnovers either. So a really good night for Tyrese Halliburton. He hit a 3, told the Bucks to get off his floor. Again, they do a lot of the Pacers do a lot of talking for a team that's 5 games over 500. But they have beaten the Milwaukee Bucks 4 out of 5 games. I'm sure they enjoy it. Again, it's January, but to play a contender like the Milwaukee Bucks and to beat them in the manner that they have, again, you tip your cap to these guys. And that's what I mean when I say I'm not going to come out here and scream and yell and berate and just be upset about what happened tonight. And I'm not really going to go into like a super hard game recap other than a couple of different things that I saw and want to get to. It's some of it is it effort? Is it how old this team is? Is it, just being lazy because you've won a championship before and you don't think that you have to go out in the regular season and compete with everybody else or like everybody? I don't know. You tell me. I'm not sure what the deal is or why the Bucks come out with that attitude. I look like Obi Toppin, right? Obi Toppin comes out and there was the free throw that I think Giannis missed a free throw, or no, it wasn't Giannis. I think it was one of the Pacers missed a free throw, right? One of the Pacers missed a free throw. I don't remember who it is, and Brook Lopez just starts heading down the court, and Obi Toppin comes right behind him and dunks the ball in. Like those are the plays, and when I see him, I go, man, it's just unfortunate when you're watching it. Why don't the Bucks play with that kind of passion and that kind of energy? I don't know. Again, I sometimes I take it to old age. I don't know where you listen. I don't know what it is. I can't give you the reason as to why they choose to play in the manner they play. I don't understand. But do I think that it means something going forward all the way out to April and May? I don't. I really don't. I do think they get this thing together. One of the things I really enjoyed, I thought, again, because you got Brook Lopez on the court, you got Bobby Portis on the court, but when it seemed like Adrian Griffin, and that's the other thing, I saw a lot of people getting down on Adrian Griffin tonight, right? So you get upset with Adrian Griffin. How many different ways did you want him to have the guys play defense? The Bucks played a 2-3. I believe they went into some type of a 1-2-2 kind of hybrid zone, unless that was kind of a funky 2-3. That was where Giannis was up in it. Actually, no, it wasn't. It was like a 2-1-2. It was kind of a hybrid 2-3. Maybe it was. But Giannis was up high in it. He was up down low in it. It was so they played that. They switched all over the floor. They played small ball with Andre Jackson Jr. and MarJon Beauchamp when they made their, run, if you want to call it that. Right? So that's my question. How much more did you want them to do? What did you want them to see? For the people who were blaming Adrian Griffin, right? For the people who are blaming Adrian Griffin for this kind of stuff, what more do you want him to see before you go, oh, is this a personnel issue? Or is this a problem with him? He played multiple different defenses. He didn't just they play drop. They play up tight. They play loose. I've had a lot of people say, oh, well, the problem is the Bucks are defending out at 33 feet. And why are they defending up so high? Oh, well, Chris Middleton has no interest in playing up high. So Chris Middleton sat back. You know what Tyrese Halliburton did? Bop, 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 right in his face. So again, so you can make that argument of why are they hugged up 30 feet from the basket, and that's because Tyrese Halliburton sees you, says hand down, man down, and shoots the ball right in your face. So it didn't matter any kind of way this team played defense, they got beat. You can't tell me that that's all a coaching problem. You just can't. Again, that's just my opinion of it. You can't tell me that they're not telling guys to box out. You can't do it. You can't do it. At Kellen Johnson says, the lack of intensity and focus is on the coach who appears to be in a walking coma. Like, to me, and I'm not saying you're stupid. That's just a stupid comment. To me, you don't make 50 million, however many, Giannis makes 50 million. You don't make $10 million. Bobby Portis doesn't make $12 million to not hustle. Like, that's when you say lack of intent, the focus should be when you get your paycheck. Like, let me ask you this. You guys all work, right? At Rover78 says maybe the Bucks aren't that good. They're 24-10. And I hate this because I really want to get into what the Bucks can do or should be able to do to improve. But when you guys come with like doom and gloom and the team sucks, then it makes me feel like I'm out here just saying that everything's handy dandy and okay. And again, it's never as bad as you make it seem. But let me ask, since you guys are all lack of intensity, focus on the coach. Everybody has a job. You work. I work. You work. We all have jobs. Does your boss, is it like, do you go to work and go, oh, I got to do this for my boss. Oh, my boss makes me, I got to fill this paperwork out because my boss. I never did, not once in my life. I've had good bosses, I've had bad bosses. Not once in my life have I been like, man, I'm going to do that for Jerry. I'm going to do that for Tom. I'm going to do that for Michael, for Ben, because Ben wants it. I ain't never thought that, not one day in my life. I do my job because every 2 weeks a paycheck comes in. And that's where my intensity and my focus lies. Because I got a family I got to take care. Not because my boss asked me to work really hard on this assignment. Like, I get like that. What are we? I never. These are grown men. This isn't 10 and under AAU, right? This isn't Pee Wee football. This isn't the local rec YMCA league where, oh man, that coach Terry really got us going. That's not how this goes, man. These are grown men. These men make more money than the coach. Coach, they make you run through a wall. Now again, I'm not saying that coaches have nothing to do with all that stuff. I'm just saying that again, this gets to a level that is so lazy that I can't put it on the coach. Now, are there some elements of that yet, so did my analogy go too far? Maybe. Are there some elements of that where you really want to do something for somebody? Sure. But I don't think guys play hard for Eric Spoelstra just because it's Eric Spoelstra. Look at Greg Popovich. Do you think the guys in San Antonio are playing real hard for Pop? They look like they're aloof with the Bucks' next opponent. Let's watch them. Because I don't think anybody says that about Greg Popovich, right? But let's watch the San Antonio Spurs. There's no way they should be as bad as they are. And let's see how hard they play under Greg Popovich tomorrow night when the Bucks play him. And I want everybody to go, oh, it's a lack of intensity and focus, and it's because Greg Popovich. You're not going to do that. You're not going to do it. Again, when you're in drop and you're getting beat on the drop, it ain't because Brook Lopez is stinking it up. Is you think somebody's got to be hard on Damian Lillard or Malik Beasley to make him stay in front of? He can't do it. You think Chris Middleton when he falls over, right? When he had another turnover tonight where he just fell down. You think yelling at him is gonna make him stand up? No, sometimes his legs just gonna go out. He's old. So, I guess I'm trying not to go there and go to that point. But again, tonight I just thought that the Bucks, they got outplayed. And again, now in that third quarter where it really got out of hand, And I believe the Bucks gave up 47 points in the third, right? It was 47-29. That's where this game really got out of hand. Because, I mean, if you look at it, the Bucks were down by 2 after 1. They were up 2 going into the half. The Bucks, it's crazy. The Bucks won 3 out of the 4 quarters tonight. Excuse me, my bad. They won 2 out of 4 quarters. They lost the first by 2. They won the second by 4, and they won the fourth by 4. And they lost the third by 18. So this game was lost in the third quarter, right? And I thought that it was a combination, not so much. I thought the Bucks started off those first 5 minutes or so. I think Indiana really outplayed them and looked much better. But then I almost think that it just got to a point where the rhythm became too much. And Indiana got into this rhythm offensively, and the Bucks could never snap them out of it. And I think there was some solid defense being played. If you really go back and watch those possessions late in the third quarter, there was one where it was a layup over Marjan, and I believe also over Brook Lopez that, just shouldn't have gone in, and it did. And, and you tip your cap, and then I think Ben Mathurin at the end of the quarter in the third knocked the 3 down. Marjan Beauchamp in perfect position, and the guy just hits a 3. Right? That just happened. Bucks and Forces, they're 24-10. They are good. 100%. No, this is a good basketball team. Let's make no mistake about it. This is a good basketball team. This is a bad stretch against Indiana. And again, I'll be the first to admit it. And again, I don't want to make this go playoff-wise, but for a regular season, the Indiana Pacers are a very tough matchup for the Milwaukee Bucks. I'll tell you, Oklahoma City is probably going to run the doors off of Milwaukee when we play them. Does that mean that's going to happen in the playoff series? Not necessarily. Not at all. But in a regular season matchup, if Oklahoma City comes to play, they're going to run you up and down the court. Because if you're not prepared and if you don't want to run up and down with them, that's what's going to happen to you. They're playing focused basketball, all that stuff. And again, I don't think it's about the coach or anything, but they're going to play some focused basketball. They're going to run up and down the court. They're going to try to run you. They have young legs. The Bucks don't. Now, again, the game slows down in April. It slows down in May. And hopefully if you get into June, it's going to slow down. You got to play more half-court offense. People aren't just going to let you run up and down the court. That's not typically how the playoffs are played. And a lot of times your coach isn't going to want you to play that way because every possession is so important that you have to pay. You can't waste a possession while I just threw it out and threw the ball up down. You can't really waste those possessions in the playoffs. So, again, the Indiana Pacers are a tough matchup for the Bucks. I don't necessarily think in a playoff series because, again, I just look – but bottom line, Damian Lillard can't be outplayed by, and I don't think he was outplayed tonight by TJ McConnell, but you can't be outplayed by the likes of TJ McConnell's and Tyrese Halliburton's. And again, Tyrese Halliburton's the best player on the floor. That's what happened to the Bucks tonight. Tyrese Halliburton was the best player on the floor. And nights like that where your guy isn't the best player on the floor will be an issue. Seth Wolf comes in, says, absolutely pathetic defensive effort combined with another weak performance from Dame. Some kind of shakeup needs to happen because this is a weak team, not even close to a contender as is. I don't disagree with that. Whether it's rotation shakeup, roster shakeup, trade, buyout, Jay Crowder coming back's not enough. Team soft is Charmin. Dame's frustrating. Show some fire. Show something. We're getting punked all over the court by the damn Pacers, screaming all over, and we just ho-hum past me, stinks up the arena again. Sickening. Seth... Listen, I'm not even going to sit here and necessarily deny, things that took place or deny that even some Bucks fans that you should feel upset or that you should feel some type of fight and some emotion, some energy. I'm not going to deny that. I think that those are valid feelings, right? That people can and should be, upset in the moment. Again, I just took it to the point where, you can't get too high, can't get too low. At Trey Day 608 says, is it possible we overreacted and would have been just fine keeping Drew Grayson with the healthy Middleton and improved Marjan? I don't want to second guess getting Dame Lillard, but this just doesn't seem to be meshing. There's still time to correct, but it's becoming a hard watch. Incorrect. No, you didn't overreact. And again, did you see Drew Holiday last night? This is, and I'll call out too. Ted Davis, voice of the Bucks, no longer. Ted Davis is on Twitter. Let me read what Ted Davis said because I just saw um, his comment. He said he's been holding back judging the current Bucks roster because it doesn't matter how you look in January, April, and May counts. I do feel whatever you gained from Lillard, you lost from Holiday, who, in my opinion, Ted Davis, is the better total player. Just an opinion, feel free to disagree. 100% disagree. Did you see Drew Holiday the other night against OKC? Trash. Got thrashed up and down. He looked just as bad as Damian Lillard and Malik Beasley looked. Guys from OKC running right by him. He got benched. Did y'all see Drew Holiday get benched in the last 8 minutes of that game against Oklahoma City that Boston lost the other night? He got benched. So, no, that's not, like, I think the idea of, this team, like, were the Bucks even 24-10 through 34 games last year? Somebody let me know that. I don't know. Were the Bucks 24-10 through 34 games last year? I'm not sure that they were. I'm really not. So, no, I can't go. Dame's had some good games. He has had some stinkers. He's got to play better, 100%. Rated R Nuke 4-4. I've never seen a team who's marginal at best take it to a title contender like this. I hate them taking to Indiana. I hate the way the Bucks played tonight. But sometimes humble pie is good. I hope Indy makes the playoffs so we can play them. I think it's interesting because I think there are a lot of people who are kind of afraid of the Indiana Pacers. I'm not. I speak to you all the time. If you are a contender and you're a contending team and your hopes and dreams, aspirations are winning an NBA championship, an NBA title. If that's what the Milwaukee Bucks are and that's who they are and what they are, if those are your aspirations, then no, you can't even be fazed by a team like Indiana. There's only two teams that should beat you, and I'm going to say should/could beat you. And it even be considered, I don't even want to say it wouldn't be considered a successful season, but could be considered a season where, okay, I understand that. That's Philadelphia and Boston. You lose to anybody else, you got to do some serious reevaluating. If you think you could lose to anybody else, you got to do some serious reevaluating. This Bucks team, this roster, right, 100% will change over. We're watching this, but John Horst is also watching this. And I keep telling you, and again, I've had people come in the comments. I'm sure people are going to come into the comments when they watch this stream. And I guarantee you, they're going to tell me that, you can't, we got to trade Pat. We got to trade Pat Connaughton. Maybe you can trade Campaign. You can trade. There are certain guys. I'm looking, okay, so if you are Brook Lopez, excuse me, if you're Bobby Portis, how is he not a guy who you're thinking about potentially getting rid of? I tell this all the time. I tell it to anybody who listens. I tell it to my wife. I tell it to anybody. You can't trade guys that you don't like for players that you do like. That's not how this works. So for all the people who and the 11 King says Magic had Boston's number last year. That's sometimes how it goes in the regular season. But for all of you people out there who get attached to certain players and this guy can't go in his, you're not gonna, if you keep talking about, well, we need different point of attack defenders, we need this, we need that, you're not gonna get it without giving up good players. And again, I've said this before, I think on this program, when I say Bobby may have to be a piece that goes, it's not because I think Bobby's trash. I don't do trades like that where I'm making up scenarios where we just send out garbage and you get back gold. That's not how it works. You have to send out guys that certain teams may think they could use, or there's going to be some value with those players. So if you really want, again, the better type of player you want back, the better type of player you got to be willing to send. You don't have a bunch of first-round picks you can give up. You don't have high draft picks you can give up. So you're either giving up some of your quote-unquote rotational bet. You're not sending out Pat Connaughton and Campaign and maybe a Marjon Boateng and getting anything of substance back. The things you think about Pat Connaughton, other teams and other people think that about him too. That's how that goes. So I love it when we talk about we gotta get this, and we talk about, okay, well, would you move Bobby? Nah, I wouldn't move Bobby. Well, okay, so how do you expect to get that? How do you expect to have money that matches up to get that? I see people talking about potentially moving Brook Lopez. I don't think you can move Brook Lopez. I don't think you can. Why? Because I think Brook Lopez is a guy that you can actually use against a Philly and against a Denver. There are two teams that Brook Lopez in the playoff series really, you can, again, he's a body to play against Embiid, a body to play against Joker, and those guys aren't going to move around too much for him. Again, the Indiana team, they're doing too much moving. Miles Turner is a mobile big. The Bucks tried switching everything early in this basketball game. Didn't really work. The Pacers kept getting switched up. Well, the Bucks kept getting Smalls, Dame, and Malik Beasley switched up on him, and I think their first 6 points was Turner inside because he had a Small switched up on him, right? So the Bucks tried a lot of different things tonight. It didn't work. Anud Shah says Pacers can score on anybody, including the Celtics. They absolutely can. Again, now Boston has better wing defenders and players that you can, to stop those point of attack drives from, like I said, a Tyrese Halliburton, from even a Bruce Brown, those type of players. They just have more bodies that play those guys a little bit better. And again, the Pacers are also, the Boston Celtics are also a younger basketball team. That there's something for being young and spry. And I know this because, again, you as Bucks fans, you know it too. The Bucks used to do this to teams. The Bucks used to run hard and be the upstart basketball team that was gung-ho. I was in the Bradley, right? When the Bucks beat the Warriors 24-0 war. I was there. You don't win that game if you're not amped and run up and down and pumped up. I think that was a January game. Pumped up to go beat the Golden State Warriors. You're not winning that game unless you're playing with that energy, with that type of force, and with that type of passion, right? And that's, again, different. We're at different places. The Indiana Pacers tonight. It's a Wednesday night, January 3rd. That was a sold out crowd, standing room only. Oh, all these issues I'm having today. Mic just fell. But standing room only crowd, right? That's the type of energy that when a Milwaukee Bucks team comes in Indiana, this is a rivalry for them. I'm not feeding into this. I'm not feeding into it one bit. And I don't think it's arrogance or cockiness either. I wish with every fiber of my being that there was going to be one more game in March against the Indiana Pacers. Just so happened the schedule makers took all 5 and had them happen before February 1st. Hell, before January 5th. Right? So, I would love to see this basketball team again post All-Star break. I'd love to see what the Milwaukee Bucks are going to look post All-Star break. At Crip Salon says Bobby and Pat need to be traded. Marjan should play 20 minutes off the bench. Griffin has to stop with the Chris Payne, Bobby Beasley, Brook lineup. At no moment should neither Giannis or Dame be on the court. So for that again, I'll agree. Playoff series, yes, I think Giannis, Dame got to be on the court pretty much at all times. In the regular season in January, no, I can't. I'm not playing guys 40 minutes every other night just to win some games in the regular season when I'm 24-10. I'm not how many times have you seen the Bucks play? The rotations are pretty much set. And again, maybe they will change the rotations, but that'll be if they make a rotational change, that would just be the change, entirely for the rotation. And again, they may have had some more overlap, but for the fact Dame Lillard wanted to play the entire first quarter. And that's what he wanted to do. Tonight, you talk about that bench unit, that they weren't terrible. Now, again, our bench got outscored by Indiana yet again, but they weren't the reason the Bucks lost. The Bucks, matter of fact, again, Andre Jackson Jr. was a plus 14, Campaign was a plus 5. It was a start. Lillard was a minus 22. Giannis was a minus 12. Brook Lopez was minus 22. Beasley minus 17. Chris minus 15. Those were the guys that got beat tonight. At Light Seraph says, how long will Horst wait? Marjan been more aggressive and in the right place mentally. Maybe time to move him up with the starters. Ajax can help too. B's better off in the bench. Dame, low efficiency games can happen. We need defense to counter that. Potentially, you do have some defense that counters it. I like these solo nights. I get to more of your comments, and we can kind of talk about them. Dame low efficiency games can happen. We need defense to counter that. And I've talked multiple times on this show about the fact that this is an offensive team. We have to switch our mindset. Whoever you bring in, and now again, tonight, I thought that fourth quarter where Dr. Griffin trusted Andre Jackson a little bit more and the Bucks were able to play better because, again, we know what the deal is. The Bucks' best units are Giannis at the 5. That's always been the case. I've had arguments with Dario Melendez, who, because he did a stint with the Bucks as a sideline reporter at Bally's, I know I've interviewed Giannis. That's what he told me. I've interviewed Giannis. I know he doesn't like to play the 5. Shut up. It don't matter. Do you want to win? Well, he says he wants to win. So you can talk about how you don't want to play the 5 all you want to. He's played it and they play well. I know they're No, you don't know. I don't know what you're looking at over there. But Giannis at the 5, by far, historically over the last few years, by far Bucks' best units. And the Bucks really haven't been able to run it very often because you haven't had Jay Crowder in the lineup. Because he, the update on him, I think it's probably been at least a couple more weeks. I was hoping we'd have him early in January. It doesn't sound like that's going to be the case. Eric Nehm was reporting. But, Jay Crowder's got to be there. But if you're going to have, but here's the difference. If Adrian Griffin is going to trust Andre Jackson Jr., right, to step in and play that role, and we can switch there and have Giannis at the 5, that looked much better in the fourth quarter as the Bucks started to play a little more forward. There was, again, I talk about, I don't remember if that was the last restream or not. There was a stretch of 4 stops in a row. The Bucks got that game to a 10-point game in the fourth quarter. Indiana took a timeout, and I believe Dame missed a 3, and Malik Beasley both missed 3s that would have cut that to single digits. So all that went on, and it looked as bad as it did, the Bucks were there in the end, and I knew they would make a run. And they did, because I think it was an 18-point game. The Bucks got it down to 10, and then just like I said, but you had the difference tonight again, and we can talk about the defense. But they got 4 stops in a row, and they weren't able to score on those stops. That to me was some of the issue. Aiden RFB says, "I'm a Pacers fan, but good game." No, absolutely. Again, not just a good game for the Pacers. So if you're a Pacers fan, you're coming in here and you're watching this right now. Listen, hats off to your basketball team. Right? Like, I don't want to sit here and make it like the Indiana. Let's be honest, as Bucks fans, the Indiana Pacers came in for 5 games, and 4 out of those 5, they beat the Milwaukee Bucks down. Like, and they wanted it more. And I'm not, and again, I'm not at a point where I'm sitting here and making excuses. I'm not making any excuses for it or trying to sound, as if I'm, well, the Bucks didn't care. But the Indiana Pacers wanted those wins more, and it looked like it, and they should, like that. They should have. Those are good wins for that basketball team. These are, again, I'm not saying it's the end of the world, but these are bad. It's no big deal to lose to the Pacers, but to lose 5 times, 4 out of 5. Yeah, it's a little, especially with all the things that went on. Did Tyrese Halliburton tapping his wrist for Tyrese Halliburton, the Pacers taking the ball. All that stuff that took place with Indiana, it was a bad look to lose. Again, you felt good as a Bucks fan when Giannis dropped 64 in the head. It was like, okay, restoring order. And I think you would have been fine even with the last loss on New Year's Day. You would have been fine if the Bucks had won tonight. But they didn't. And so that's where, again, I stopped short of concerned, but, it was just one of those things where, you wish you made a better showing, right? You'll look back on this, and again, if all things are good, at the end of the day, it'll be fine, but you'll look back on this later in the season, you'll be like, man, I wish we got one of those, probably. Aiden jumps back and says, what's been happening to Dame? I hate to see the downfall. Again, he's just not shooting the ball well. Like, he's not. We talked about it, he's not getting downhill like I think he needs to. I still think that my only issue, and the officials are not why the Bucks lost this game at all. But I saw, there was a couple times, Dame to me doesn't get the calls, not just tonight, just in general. But I see Jalen Brunson get that call all the time where he's driving to the basket and pushes his shot up, guys reaching in, and it counts as a continuation. And for whatever reason, it just doesn't for Damian. Damian Lillard's had it happen multiple times throughout the year. They don't count it for him. I don't know why. I can't for life of me understand why they won't count it. It didn't count it tonight. I think it absolutely should be a continuation. Not all the time, but especially those ones where he's driving middle of the paint. Like that's not a sweep through. There's no other motion. He's literally going up for a shot. And they will not give. They'll call the foul, but they will not give the continuation. I think he had at least one of those tonight, and it would have. I think it would have been a pretty important bucket in the third quarter, where Pacers are driving. The Pacers are getting momentum, and the Bucks try to stop that run. And instead of it being an and one going to the line shooting one after a bucket, you're taking a side out. And there's no momentum to be had because the refs didn't give him a foul. I don't understand some of that stuff, and still don't. But yeah, I think Marjan Cron comes in and says Dame time's in the spring. Let's hope so. I still I'm not super like if there's one thing I'm more concerned. I would say, and I'm not super concerned about Dame either, but I'm more concerned about Dame than I am about the Bucks as a whole. I do think that the Milwaukee Bucks will figure this thing out. I think John Horst figures this thing out. I 100% think there's a trade. There are trades to be had, trades to be made. Every single year, John Horst makes a move. You have not name me the year where John Horst didn't make a move, didn't go find 2021. PJ Tucker made the move to go win a championship. He's going to make a move. He always does. He always will. So I trust him here. At Jay Horvath, he's a Bucks fan / Bucks hater. He says, "Boo! This seems old, methodical, and weak sauce. The roster's thin. Dame has lost all confidence. A first round exit. Boo! Bad effort, bad execution, bad roster." Okay, shut up. That's the kind of stuff where I go, what are we talking about? You can't say that a team is a bad roster at 24-10. It's not a thing. Brumit 2 says a lot of people think we got to give 100% right now. We don't. It's January. We got nothing to prove in the regular season. That's one way to look at it. I do think you want to be playing some decent ball. I think the best thing for this Milwaukee Bucks is that you have a game tomorrow night. You got a game tomorrow night against the San Antonio Spurs. So you're going to get a chance to go out, execute, and just kind of get your bearings back and win a basketball game. At GM_Rome7 says it's obvious the Bucks need Crowder and to go get a capable perimeter defender. Even they give up Bobby sucks, but it's neat. I think he's saying you got to give up Bobby. Also, we knew Dame's deficiencies defensively, but being consistently bad offensively is very problematic. How you feeling about Dame? Again, this is the on pace, and again the Bucks still tonight scored 130 points, right? This is on pace to be the fourth best offense in the history of the NBA. So the offense works. The only issues are when you have these lulls, and Damian Lillard has got to just play a little bit better. He's got to impact the game a little bit more. He's got to continue. When the shot's not falling, you got to get to the basket. In a way, I get it. He's not Giannis, obviously, in that way. Obviously, he's a top-notch pure shooter, but in some of the ways, Damian Lillard's got to get his mid-range going. He's got to be able to score from 3 levels, and he's got to be able to use those 3 levels. He can score at all 3 levels. He's got to be able to want to, right? Like, you remember he had the jumper. He got hit in the head right above the right below the arc, right? And those are shots he's going to be able to get. You got to be able to, like Tyrese Halliburton. He shot a decent amount of threes tonight, but he got his game going, getting to the basket. I know he's a bigger player, but he got his game going. The game before that, it's getting to, it's getting to that 17-footer, that 14-footer on the side, hitting your spot and making that shot. Clearly, a bot says, love Dame, but I'm a Blazers fan. Just give Dame some time. Also, I think things, are more about attitude and coaching. Well, so defensively, though, Damian Lillard's never been a top-notch defender. And then when you go coaching, again, the offense has been historically great. So I guess when we say coach, what are we talking about, the defense as far as coaching? And again, I think it's a personnel issue. I think you find a way to play Giannis at the 5. Not as much as possible. Again, it's early, but letting him play that 5 is going to be big and vital. And if Dr. Griffin is starting to trust Andre Jackson Jr. to be inside into the game and playing while Giannis can play the 5 and roam the back, and then you can switch everything comfortably without having Brook Lopez in the game, you might have something there. And again, I'm about 50-50 on Bobby Portis and whether Bobby Portis is back in his basketball is on his basketball team come deadline. I don't know. Again, it's January, so you don't have to make the move today. I know that the Toronto and New York, just made a trade. Obviously, you have a month to see this through. And again, the Bucks just finished they were 11-2. They won 9 of their last 11 coming into tonight. So they still won 9 of their last 12 basketball games. Like, this team is a winning basketball team. They've been winning games. And tonight and the other night was just a blip on the radar. And again, you got to give credit to an Indiana team. I'll read a few more comments and then I will bid you adieu for the night because we got started late tonight, obviously. And then due to technical difficulties, and then of course, well, yeah, it wasn't that late of a game. We just kind of got started late. I had to start a couple times. At jump_Pierre said, why did Giannis have 12 shots? Again, I thought it was due to him playing. I thought, again, it was due to Giannis not forcing it. And again, you put up talk about 12 shots, they put up 130 points. Like, it's due to not forcing it. You're getting double team, triple team. Giannis made the right play a bunch of times. Like, he just does. He often does. And he didn't start, going until I think the Bucks, honestly, they played a lot of two-man with Dame Johnson. I thought they really, ran the pick and roll quite effectively. I really do think that. And then at JLove46 says, we need a bench. We also need defense badly. Not panic, but I am concerned. Again, when you have high-level players, you're a top-heavy basketball team. You got Giannis, you got Dame. Even Chris Middleton, who's making $30-some million, your bench is going to suffer. You're not going to have this super deep roster. Look at Boston. I don't think it's a very, you want to call Peyton Pritchard, okay, and it was Peyton Pritchard and Sam Hauser. You want to depend on those guys if you're Boston? I mean, maybe you will. I think Al Horford's decent, but maybe you can depend on those guys, but you don't have much outside of that if you're Boston. If you lined up Sam Hauser, Peyton Pritchard, and Al Horford together and told me, hey, that's your bench, I'd be like, okay, see how that goes. And again, Sam Hauser's a great shooter. Peyton Pritchard plays well as well. So, those teams that have players that make a lot of money top end, you're not going to also have this very deep basketball team. Like, you're not going to be able to be the Oklahoma City Thunder, right, where you have all these young guys who are on rookie deals. I don't think has Shea gotten his deal yet, but I don't think Shea has another deal coming to like 2027. But yeah, you're not gonna have all these guys, and I obviously keep up with a lot of the NBA, and so people are talking about with Shea Gilgeous-Alexander. It's like, well, you got to get another piece in now. It's like, no, you really don't. Like, you don't have to do that just yet. You have. Because you don't have to pay these guys yet. The Bucks are paying all their guys. Like, the Bucks are an old basketball team. Like, Brook Lopez is making $15 million, right? Like, it's $15 million for him. It's $12 million for Bobby Portis. Obviously, Dame makes what he's making. Giannis makes $40-some million. Chris makes $30-some. Yes, it's an older basketball team. They're built for the playoffs. They're not built to run up and down all year long. And no, the depth is not going to be, crazy. I think, now, can the Bucks do some things? I think they can to bolster their bench, but I do think it's going to be somewhat minor unless you're really willing to go out and change. Like the core of your team is not changing. The biggest name that will be moved, that I could see being moved from Milwaukee, is Bobby Portis, and he's your sixth man. Like, you're legit sixth guy off the bench, and I think that's saying a lot that the Bucks may be willing to move their sixth best player when you have a championship title type of a team mid-season. Like, I don't see I think Boston may go do something. Boston's not gonna move their sixth best player. Like, they're not gonna go move Pritchard or Al Horford. They're not gonna do it, right? So Philly, go down the list of what Philly's got. Like, Philly's not gonna move, a Kelly Oubre. Right? Like, they're not, like, you're not moving. Those top tier teams aren't going to typically move guys that are really within the rotation. And I think the Bucks are going to be willing to do that. So I think that you can take that for what you will, panic or concern, whatever. Take that what you will. I think the Bucks would potentially be willing to do that so that they can have a little bit more of a defensive presence. Because, again, you look at Bobby Portis. Do you know that Bobby Portis actually has this. He has the second most post ups per possession behind Nikola Jokic. Do you think that the ball should be dying to stop? Like when and there's been like a kind of a Twitter war with Dame fans, and I don't even say Giannis. I think they're Bucks fans really, because Dame fans are just like. And again, the Portland Trailblazers, a lot of Portland fans, that are now fans of the Bucks. I had this happen with Cam Newton. I'm a Carolina Panthers fan. When Cam Newton went to the Patriots, I was much more invested in how Cam Newton was playing than how New England Patriots looked. Therefore, when I watch their games on Sundays, I could give a damn whether or not the Patriots won the football game or not. How Cam look? Did the Patriots put Cam in the best position to win the game? Did the Patriots put Cam in the best position to get his stats up, to get his yard? Well, Cam did well. I don't know what's going on the rest of the team. Like, that's kind of and that's what I'm seeing from Portland fans when it comes to the Bucks. You're not really, so when we are arguing, and this debate has been running through X or Twitter, whatever you want to call it. This debate has been rummaging all through the website, Dame versus Giannis, and Giannis is ball hogging, and he's got no. You guys are concerned with how Dame looks. The Bucks are not. Let me paraphrase that. Let me change that. Not concerned with how Dame looks, but not at the expense of winning games, at the expense of the Milwaukee Bucks. Giannis is at his lowest usage since he's become a superstar. And I get it, Dame's lowered his usage too, but again, that's part of it. You're not in Portland anymore. Your second best player is not CJ McCollum. You are now, Dame Lillard, you are the second best player on this basketball. You are not the best player on the basketball team. So yes, your usage will go down. You will have to defer to Giannis Antetokounmpo. You may have to defer some to other people. Now, what I will agree on is you shouldn't have to defer to a Bobby Portis. And too many times, that ball hits Bobby Portis in the post. And as somebody else said on Twitter, I don't want to take credit for it, but the ball hits Bobby Portis in the post, and everybody else can just run back on defense because you're not getting the ball back. It's going to sit down in the post, and you're going to live with either a Bobby Portis hook shot, layup, maybe it goes in, maybe it doesn't. That ball is living and dying with whatever Bobby Portis does. That shouldn't happen, right? And I don't want to seem like I'm putting a lot on Bobby Portis or blaming, because he's not the reason. I'm just saying, when you're looking at realistically where you can upgrade, where you can do different things, you're either going to do something marginal, and you're talking about potentially Marjan, but I don't know, he's young as well. You're talking about marginal types of deals where it's, patent something for somebody small. Or again, if you really want to go out and make a play, you have to move a Bobby Portis. Green Ranger says Bucks have only one loss when Dame scores 30 points. Dame at his best offensively is what's best for the Bucks. I agree. No. Yeah, I agree with that. And here's the thing though. You can't shoot 3 for 6. If you want to get 30 points, you can get up 18 shots. You can't shoot 30% from the field. That's your problem. You're getting the shot right. You want 30. Well, guess what? If you were 10 of 18 and you shot 9 of 10 from the free throw line, you're probably a little bit closer to 30 than you were. Yeah, well, I guarantee you, if you were 10 of 18 tonight, you probably get to 30 points. 100%. If you're 10 of 18 and you were 4 of 8 from 3 instead of 2 of 8 from 3, you're closer to getting 30 points. Instead, you're at 23. So I'm not disagreeing. Dame being good is what's best for the Bucks, but it can't be at the expense of everybody else. He's got to be able to score within the flow of the offense. And again, we've already proven that the Milwaukee Bucks offense is 4th best offense in the history of basketball, on pace for it. The offense is not the problem. They're getting shots, they're getting loose. Count how many wide open misses from 3 Dame had. Like, it ain't like Dame Lillard's taking contested pull-ups and, can he even get that? How is he getting it? Dame Lillard, a lot of his looks are open. A lot of them are open. And he's missing shots. I agree he has to shoot better, but here's the point. Dame is a scorer, not a jump shooter. He needs the ball more. He needs more control. He can't just be a floor spacer. So, and that's a good point, and I can stop there with you. He needs more control. That was what, I don't know if you were with us earlier in the show where I was kind of talking about that, and some of the beef people had was saying that Dame Lillard stood in the corner. I watched specifically tonight. There were some moments I thought where Dame kind of got phased out of the offense slightly, But it wasn't until he was having a bad shooting night before any of that happened. Like like it seems like that's when some of that stuff starts to happen, is when it's like, oh, this ain't your night. We got to find ways to score the basketball because we can't just let you run around with the ball all night long. You know? Not especially when you have 5 assists to 2 turnovers. So Damian Lillard, I mean, again, he's had some decent assist numbers, but I just don't think this offense should look like Portland's. I don't think this offense looks like Portland. Snaky 973. Bucks aren't looking like they can contend like this. Just facts. Contend like this, like what? Like when they play, how they played against the Pacers tonight? No, I agree, but I don't think that's an every night thing. Again, this Bucks team came in tonight winning 9 of their last 11. So when you say like this, you're talking about. It seems like we pick specific nights where the Bucks lose, and we say, or they can't win like this, versus the Bucks were just on a streak where they won, whatever it was, 11 of 13. They were 11-2 in December, and they're playing well. But and again, it's one of those things where I hate to harp on national media, but Christmas Day, the Bucks lose to the Knicks, but they just beat them a couple days before, but that didn't mean anything because you lost on Christmas Day, and that's what everybody talks about. And not talk about how you beat them down a couple days before that. But that's just those are just my observations. Moving along, I talked about concern about the Patriots. Not overly concerned. I wish I could see him after the All-Star break. I want to see what this team looks like. Now, what I will say, and I will agree with all of you 100% on your takes about whether or not you're concerned about the Bucks. When this thing gets to, and we're not there yet, but when's All-Star Weekend? February 16th? You got about a month. You got about a month and a half or so before the things that I see start to go from me coming in here and being very cordial. Like I do this with my kids, right? I got 3 kids under 6, okay? And so when I'm putting them to bed, or when it's time to come eat, or when it's time to stop playing, when it's time to go from the park, right? I try sometimes to gentle parenting stuff. I try it. I try to come in and, hey, all right, guys. Well, let's go to bed. Let's go back to bed. You come down from being, let's go back, put you back to bed. We'll be okay. You all right? Why are you crying? Just talk to me. I try to do a little bit of that, right? And then there comes a time where it's the 4th or 5th time you've come out of your bed. Once I put you to bed, that now I got to be the mean guy. And I got to get upset that you continue to come down after I've asked you to go to bed. That's where this is right now. The Bucks are not the 12-year-old mouthing off back to me. The season is young. They're the 3-4-year-old. And I'm not mad that you wet your bed. I'm not mad that you're not all the way listening just yet. I'm just telling you again, hey, we got to get this figured out. February 16th is about that cutoff right after All-Star break. And again, if we see some of this going into March, we're going to have some talks. And again, these are not going to be pretty. I'll be in here yelling and hooting and hollering, and I think doing a lot of what, people. And again, this has been a long time coming from me. I've been watching the Bucks for a long time, and I used to be that guy who lived and died with every single game. And I realized you can't do it. You just can't do it. Whether, the Bucks won a title coming from the 3rd seed. I've seen the Bucks dominate the regular season. You talk about losing to Miami last year. I've seen them dominate the regular season and go in the bubble and get beat by Miami. I've seen all the different things that can happen to a Milwaukee Bucks team that, this, especially this current iteration of the Bucks. We've seen all of this, right? And, but I think patience is what it takes. I think that, remember the year they won it all, I believe, I have to look. I can't remember what they started, but it wasn't like they were world beaters out the gate. Now, again, you had some really good performances, but you continue to hear what they say about the Bucks. They don't beat anybody, and you only play who's on the schedule. So I don't play that game. It's a scheduled game. We play who's in front of us. It is what it is. And, tomorrow night, the Bucks are going to have another one against San Antonio. You're going to have an opportunity to come out and play well. I saw somebody saying, oh, look at the schedule. But again, as I look at the schedule, we'll do this real quick before we finish up here. It's Spurs, Rockets, you already beat. The Jazz aren't good. I know all of you are going to lose your mind when the Bucks play the Celtics on January the 11th. That's going to be a big one. You got the Warriors on the 13th. That's going to be an interesting stretch. 11th, 13th, 11th, 13th, 14th. Celtics, Warriors, Kings. That's going to be a big one. The Cavaliers in there too. The Bucks have handled the Cavaliers pretty well. And then again, your next, when you think about the end of think about your end of January here, middle through January. It's Cavs, Pistons, Cavs. You got 5 games against the Pistons and the Cavs, a Cavaliers team that I think the Bucks have beat twice now. So it's a very beatable team. You beat Detroit. So if you can play some decent ball going into that stretch over the next few games, you're gonna get 5 games where you should easily go 4-1 in that stretch, right? And so I think, again, the Bucks are fine. They'll be in an okay situation. Record-wise, they're going to be okay. I think a lot of people are going to – the funny thing is, I think a lot of you would trade. Like, if the Bucks are go 4 – if I told you that the Bucks in that stretch of Cavs 3 times, Detroit twice, I'd be willing to bet a large amount of money if I told you the Bucks would go 3-2 in that stretch and they'll lose one, and one of the losses would be to Detroit. You would take that if I told you that January 11th the Bucks are going to beat the Boston Celtics. You take that. If I told you that during that 5 stretch games of Cleveland and Detroit, 3 times against Cleveland, 2 times against Detroit, if I told you can either have the 5-0 in that stretch or 3-2 in that stretch and you beat Boston, you guys would take Boston almost unanimously. You guys would take Boston, beating Boston over any of that. So I just think that. So I think we just take different dates on the calendar and we'll play through them and whatnot. But again, the Bucks are gonna be fine. Everything's gonna be fine. I'd relax, especially regular season going through it. The Bucks are gonna make a move. They 100% will. And to tell you, losses like this, I don't agree there's any like good losses or great losses, but losses like this will, again, you guys are watching. John Horst is watching too. Green Ranger says, I think this loss stings more than most because these games, the Pacers have been magnified by the media. Yeah, I agree. So there's been a little bit of a rivalry. So yeah, no, 100%. I think that happens. Game ball tonight, Tyrese Halliburton, he was excellent all over the floor. Again, he told the Bucks to get off the floor. And again, it was his right to do so. He shot the ball well. He controlled the game, dictated the game. I think he had 11, 12 assists or whatever it was, and no turnovers. Again, I think that's the most impressive thing about Tyrese Halliburton is he's able to come out, rack up the assists, rack up the big plays. Has a very ugly-looking jump shot, but it goes in. He knocks it down. But he's able to do all that and stay under control and not turn the ball over. Like that's the thing. When I watch Dame and Giannis and Chris too, like handling the ball, the Bucks ball handlers, and it's like, man, I wish we had a guy that could handle the ball and not turn it over. And I look, and it's been so long. Like, when's the last time the Bucks had a pure point guard that, like, you just didn't worry about turnovers? Like Drew Holiday. Drew Holiday was a combo guard. And again, he shared, ball handling responsibilities with Chris Middleton and Giannis. You even go to Brandon Jennings, who, again, has a different kind of era of the Bucks. But if, moving forward, like Brandon Knight, just move, Eric Bledsoe, right? Like, not the, really, he created turnovers with bad shots even. So, like, when's the last time you've had, like, a true facilitator point guard for the Bucks that just ran the offense? And again, even Damian Lillard, he's not that, right? Like, that's not what he is. So I think that's something that you kind of look at. But again, Tyrese Halliburton, again, good night for the Indiana Pacers. They win at 142-130. Let's look around the NBA. Detroit Pistons are up 116-109 over the Jazz. 10 minutes to play in the fourth. Suns are losing to the Clippers 109-91. I believe KD is out, right? Yeah, they got Bill and Booker in. KD is out. But the Clippers are up by basically about 20 points on the Suns. Kings up right now 13 on the Magic. Lakers down 10 to Miami. That's on ESPN. The Cavs blew out the Wizards. The Hawks beat the Thunder. Thunder, I think they didn't get into Atlanta until like 5 a.m. or something like that. The Pels beat the Timberwolves. I think that's another loss. Is that 2 losses in a row for Minnesota? Something like that. Wow, that's interesting. Oh wow, did somebody get thrown out? I'm confused. What What happened? This box score, maybe that's wrong. That box score looks very weird. I'm looking at an NBA. Raptors winning 116-111 over the Grizzlies. The Rockets get a win over the Nets. The Mavs beat the Trailblazers. Knicks beat the Chicago Bulls. Yes, I think we'll wrap it up there. It's about 11:30 on the East Coast. Appreciate you guys for joining. Appreciate you guys for staying up late with me after the technical difficulties as well. I think the show didn't start about 30 minutes after the final whistle because I was having some audio issues. But again, appreciate you guys for tuning in to the Cream City crossover. Kyle and Racine, you can get the final word. Said didn't watch the game tonight. Not positive. Pacers. But not positive. Pacers win again. We say win again. This is the last matchup against the Pacers. I don't know if you meant like for against the Bucks, but they won't play the Bucks again. But or if you mean going for it in the playoffs, that the Bucks will sweep them. I don't know. A lot of people are very concerned. I'm particularly not. But Kyle, I know you'll be back tomorrow night. The Bucks got the San Antonio Spurs again. It was a 142-130 loss tonight. Everything's gonna be okay. And again, that's the beauty of this game is that you get to go out and prove yourselves again the next night. This one, I think it does sting just a little bit, especially for the Bucks guys going through it, but they'll be okay. The Bucks are 24-10. They sit 2.5 games out of first place in the Eastern Conference. I believe the third best record in the association. If I got that right. So 24-10, third best record in the association. They'll get it back tomorrow against San Antonio. That's it. Tonight has been a Cream City crossover media group, Cream City Media Group production from the Cream City crossover Milwaukee Bucks post-game show. Bucks lose at 142-130 to the Indiana Pacers. Don't take no wood nickels.